This is an assassin tribe, where the eyes of the people are filled with a murderous intent. Everyone in the tribe, young and old, is a trained assassin. They select the most skilled assassins, known as the wolves. As elite assassins, the wolves are often hired by kingdoms to eliminate enemy leaders. At this moment, it is drizzling, and a band dressed in red and wearing masks is performing for a group of merchants in a tavern. However, these red-clad individuals are actually the wolves of the assassin tribe, and the original owner of the tavern has long since been killed. Just then, a bodyguard discovers that his master has been murdered, and the wolves quickly eliminate the remaining people. The tribe's most skilled assassin, Martin, challenges 4 bodyguards with his bare hands, effortlessly taking them down without a scratch. In that era, the wolves were regarded as an undefeated myth. However, during the next mission, Martin encounters a life-and-death crisis. At this time, a banquet was being held in General Lutobor's territory. Not long ago, Tatiana gave birth to a son for Lutobor. Lutobor, as a trusted aide to King Oleg, has saved the king's life multiple times, and his combat skills are on par with those of the wolves. Oleg gave his saber to Lutobor as a token of congratulations. During the celebration, Lutobor showcases his swordsmanship. At that moment, the son of an allied Khan begins to mock Lutobor.
Want to test my bravery, Polovstian?
Oleg then suggests a wrestling match between the two, privately reminding Lutobor to go easy on his opponent. The match quickly concludes, but the opponent, humiliated, unexpectedly attacks Lutobor from behind. Oleg intervenes just in time to stop Lutobor. Although he disdains the opponent's actions, Lutobor lays down his weapon. The celebration ended, people left, and the band members sat down to eat. One of them removes his mask, revealing himself to be Yar, the leader of the wolves. In the evening, Tatiana was treating Lutobor's wounds. The crying of the baby caught the attention of Lutobor's wife. When she steps outside to check, she encounters an injured person, and an assassin kidnaps her child while another assassin restrains her. Lutobor just ran out the door, but was attacked by Martin at the door. When Martin was about to leave, he happened to meet several of Lutobor's men. Yar, fearing that Martin poses a threat to his position, seizes the opportunity to ambush Martin and quickly retreats. By the time Lutobor gives chase, the wolves have already ridden away. Back at home, Lutobor discovers a letter pinned to his door. He immediately finds the king and presents the poison, explaining the contents of the letter to Oleg. He said that he was asked to assassinate the king with poison in exchange for Tatiana and his son. Oleg asked him to put the medicine away first. Then he drank a glass of wine in front of everyone and fell to the ground. And he pointed at Lutobor. Seeing this, people quickly search Lutobor and find the poison on him. Lutobor is imprisoned and subjected to torture. At that moment, Oleg approaches him, unties him, and explains that all of this was to force Lutobor to save his family and uncover who wanted him dead. The king states that to make it believable, he will arrange for pursuers to hunt down Lutobor. Lutobor returns to his territory and finds the imprisoned Martin, asking him to take him to the assassin tribe. As soon as the two left, the pursuers arrived. At this point, Lutobor brings Martin to a statue and demands that Martin swear to help him find his wife and child. Suddenly, a strange figure appears. He is the guardian of Purin. The guardian states that the werewolves only swear oaths on blades baptized in human blood, and then he attacks the two. After defeating the Guardian, Lutobor has Martin swear again on his bloodied sword. Although Martin had the opportunity to escape, he could not break his oath in the face of his beliefs. Along the way, they encountered a merchant caravan. Toryen recognized the wanted Lutobor and stated that he would not turn him in because Lutobor's father had once helped him. Toryen even promised to give Lutobor 2 horses the next day. When he woke up the next day, he found corpses all over the floor. It turned out that Toryen had planned to send a servant to inform the king, but Martin discovered the plot just in time. The two had not traveled far when they encountered their pursuers. Martin, using his exceptional skills, shot arrows at the enemy, but his horse was suddenly struck by an arrow, throwing him to the ground. Lutobor rushed back to save him but accidentally got hit by an arrow himself, forcing the two to flee down the hillside. Dragging their injured leg, they realized they couldn't escape. Suddenly, Lutobor noticed that Martin was missing. Lutobor thought he had been abandoned, but Martin had gone to assassinate their pursuers. Before long, Martin had taken out most of the pursuers. The pursuers caught up with the injured Lutobor, and the leader was the Khan's son. He threatened to fight Lutobor again, but he was no match for Lutobor. Lutobor knocked him off the cliff, and Martin no longer disguised himself. The two made their way to the riverbank, where Martin treated Lutobor's wounds. Then, he prepared to drink some water but quickly noticed something unusual. Upstream, someone had poured a powder into the water, and Martin warned Lutobor not to drink it. However, he discovered that Lutobor was already leaning down to drink from the river. When they awoke, they found themselves hanging from trees, captured by the forest people. Not far away, a man was chained, surrounded by oddly dressed individuals. The forest people planned to sacrifice the two to this monster, and Martin was the first to be thrown into the pit for combat. The area was littered with dismembered corpses, and the stench of decay was overwhelming. After giving the chained man a mysterious liquid, the forest people quickly left. The monster was so ferocious that he broke free from the chains and jumped into the pit and started fighting with Martin. Agile Martin managed to wrap a rope around the monster's neck, but the creature was incredibly strong. Lutobor broke free from his bindings and grabbed a water pouch from the ground, pouring it into his mouth. Just as Martin was about to be killed, Lutobor jumped into the pit. At that moment, the unknown liquid he had consumed activated his latent potential. In a furious rage, Lutobor delivered a fatal blow to the monster. The watching forest people scattered in fear, but the frenzied Lutobor continued to attack them relentlessly. Once he regained his senses, Lutobor felt immense guilt. He could not accept that he had killed innocents. Before long, they arrived at Martin's tribe, where he was blindfolded as per their customs. Suddenly, a dagger was thrown at the two. It was a trap set by Yar. At that moment, the elder chief, Anagast, intervened to stop them. Martin challenged Yar according to tribal rules, stating that if he won, he would become the new chief. Lutobor was imprisoned, and Martin assured him that he was the strongest and would kill Yar, then honor his promise to free Lutobor's family. That night, Anagast announced the start of the challenge. Yar was formidable, but Martin was also strong. Before long, Yar was knocked down, unable to rise. Just as Martin prepared to kill Yar, he was counterattacked. It turned out that Yar had been waiting for this opportunity. And in the end, Martin failed in his challenge. After his body was dragged away by the tribesmen, Anagast asked the onlookers if there were any other challengers. Seeing this, no one dared to challenge Yar. At that moment, Lutobor declared that he would challenge Yar. Yar retorted that Lutobor was an outsider and had no right to participate in the challenge. However, the sky suddenly erupted with thunder and lightning. Anagast then proclaimed that this was a sign from Ares. After the duel began, Lutobor was always suppressed by the opponent. He was no match for Yar. Tatiana witnessed this scene and rushed over, wanting to avenge her husband. Seeing his wife being humiliated awakened the raging power within Lutobor. As Lutobor prepared to unleash a massacre, Tatiana stepped in front of him to stop him. The next day, he woke up and stepped out of the tent, finding the tribe's members standing there, paying their respects to the new chief. Lutobor was indifferent to this title. His only goal was to bring his family home. Now that Lutobor was the leader of the tribe, he had the right to know who the enemy was. Thus, Lutobor disguised himself as his wife to meet the mysterious figure. When he removed the figure's cloak, he was stunned. After properly laying Martin's body to rest, he took the mysterious figure to report back to the king. When Oleg unveiled the figure's cloak, he discovered it was his only son. King Oleg then devised a plan, instructing his son to tell the ministers that he was dead. As a result, several ministers in attendance cheered and knelt before the new king. Oleg came out and hacked the man to death, then called in soldiers to round up all the traitors, even his own son. A few days later, Lutobor persuaded Anagast to submit the assassin tribe to King Oleg. The tribe members left the place they had always lived. The king personally welcomed their submission, but the next moment, he signaled for his army to surround the area. The members of the assassin tribe fell to arrows, with no one escaping unharmed. Lutobor could not understand why Oleg would do this. He stated that only his own army was allowed on his territory. Clearly, Oleg did not trust Lutobor. Despite Lutobor's unwavering loyalty to the king, he faced constant suspicion and injustice from him. In a fit of rage, Lutobor declared that he no longer wished to serve the king. He mounted his horse and rode away, while the king sent half of his forces to pursue Lutobor. He did not expect the king to be so decisive in wanting to eliminate him. At this moment, he no longer cared about the old relationship, drew his sword and rushed towards the army.